Hello, young scientists. Welcome to an exciting journey into the microscopic world of cells. Today, we are diving deep into hypertonic, hypertonic, and isotonic solutions and their dramatic effects on cells. Have you ever wondered why a raisin swells in water or why plants wilt? We'll explore these fascinating phenomena across 4 levels of understanding, from easy basics to advanced competitive insights. Let's get started. Ready for the basics? Let's unravel the simple science behind how water moves in and out of cells and what happens when they're in different environments. Our first step is understanding osmosis. Imagine water as tiny explorers, always moving from where there are lots of them to where there are fewer, through a special gate called a semi-permeable membrane. This membrane lets water pass but blocks bigger molecules. Next, we have 3 types of solutions based on how much stuff is dissolved in them compared to inside a cell. A hypotonic solution has less stuff and more water, so water rushes into the cell. An isotonic solution has the same amount of stuff and water, leading to no net water movement. Lastly, a hypertonic solution has more stuff and less water, so water rushes out of the cell. Now, let's see what happens to cells. For animal cells, like a red blood cells, without a rigid wall, a hypertonic solution makes them swell and burst, a process called hemolysis. In an isotonic solution, they stay perfectly normal. But in a hypertonic solution, they shrivel up, which we call crenation. Plant cells are tougher because they have a strong cell wall. In a hypertonic solution, they swell and become firm or turgid, but the wall stops them from bursting. In an isotonic solution, they become a bit limp or flaccid. And in a hypertonic solution, the cells inside shrink away from the wall, a process called plasmolysis, making the plant wilt. Think of a raisin swelling in water. That's osmosis in action. Time to check your understanding. Think about these questions. Can you define osmosis in your own words? What exactly happens to a red blood cell if it's placed in a hypertonic solution? And importantly, why do plant cells manage to avoid bursting in a hypertonic solution, unlike their animal cell counterparts? Take a moment to formulate your answers. Great job with the basics. Now, let's deepen our understanding. We'll explore the why behind these cell changes and their critical roles in living organisms. We've learned that osmosis is water movement across a semi-permeable membrane. But what truly drives this? It's all about water potential. Water naturally moves from an area where it has higher potential energy, or water potential, to an area with lower water potential. Think of it like a ball rolling downhill. This difference creates a concentration gradient, pushing water from dilute areas to concentrated ones. So, a hypertonic solution has a higher water potential than the cell, causing water to flow in. A hypertonic solution has a lower water potential, drawing water out. And in an isotonic solution, the water potential is balanced, so there's no net movement. Let's get more specific with our cells. In animal cells, a hypertonic solution causes so much water to enter that the cell membrane stretches and can eventually burst, a process called lysis or hemolysis for red blood cells. That's why pure water can be dangerous if given intravenously. In an isotonic solution, animal cells are happy and maintain their perfect shape, which is why medical fluids are carefully made to be isotonic. But in a hypertonic solution, water rushes out, and the cell shrivels up, becoming crenated. This loss of water can severely damage the cell. Plant cells, with their rigid cell walls, handle hypertonic solutions differently. They swell and become turgid, pushing against the cell wall, which gives the plant its stiffness and helps it stand upright. In an isotonic solution, they become flaccid, a bit limp. And in a hypertonic solution, the cell's internal contents shrink away from the wall, a process called plasmolysis, causing the plant to wilt. Understanding these effects is vital for all life. In animals, maintaining isotonic conditions is crucial for our blood and tissues to function correctly. Our kidneys are master regulators, constantly adjusting water and salt levels to keep everything balanced. In plants, the turgor pressure created in hypotonic conditions isn't just for stiffness, it's essential for structural support, helping leaves and stems stay firm, enabling stomata to open and close for gas exchange, and even driving cell growth. When plants lose this turgor pressure due to water loss in hypertonic conditions, they wilt, which can be fatal if not addressed. These processes are fundamental to how living things interact with their environment. Now, let's test your deeper understanding. First, explain the concept of water potential in relation to osmosis. Next, describe what happens to a red blood cell when it's placed in a hypertonic solution, and what is that specific process called? Why do you think intravenous fluids are typically made to be isotonic with human blood? Define plasmolysis and explain its effect on plant cells. Finally, how does the presence of a cell wall in plant cells change their response to hypotonic solutions compared to animal cells? Good luck! Ready to push your biological boundaries? Let's analyze these cellular responses in detail, connect them to broader biological theories, and explore real-world applications. At this level, we appreciate that osmosis is driven by a water potential gradient, where water moves from higher to lower potential. This potential is a combination of solute potential, which is negative due to dissolved substances, and pressure potential, which can be positive from physical pressure. The key difference in cellular response lies in the cell wall. Animal cells, lacking this rigid structure, are fragile. They burst in hypotonic solutions and shrivel in hypertonic ones. Plant cells, however, use their cell wall to their advantage. In hypotonic conditions, the influx of water creates turgor pressure, making the cell firm, crucial for plant rigidity. In hypertonic conditions, plasmolysis occurs, where the cell membrane pulls away from the wall, leading to wilting. This stark contrast highlights the evolutionary adaptations for survival in different environments. Let's delve deeper into turgor pressure, which acts as a plant's internal skeleton. This hydrostatic pressure, exerted by the cell's contents against the cell wall, is a positive pressure potential. It directly counteracts the negative solute potential, maintaining the cell's overall water potential. High turgor pressure is vital for herbaceous plants to stand upright, for leaves to remain spread out, and for the expansion of cells during growth. It also plays a role in the opening and closing of stomata, which regulate gas exchange and water loss. Factors influencing the rate of osmosis include the steepness of the concentration gradient, temperature, the surface area available for exchange, and crucially, the permeability of the membrane itself, often regulated by specialized water channels called aquaporins. Understanding these factors allows us to predict and manipulate water movement. The principles of osmosis have profound practical and biological relevance. In medicine, isotonic saline is a lifesaver for 4 infusions, preventing damage to blood cells. Hypotonic solutions can rehydrate, while hypertonic solutions can reduce swelling, but all require careful medical supervision. For food preservation, techniques like salting or pickling rely on creating a hypertonic environment that draws water out of microbial cells, inhibiting spoilage. In agriculture, understanding soil salinity is critical. Hypertonic soil can cause plants to lose water, leading to wilting and crop failure. Even in cell biology research, osmotic manipulation is a fundamental tool for various experimental procedures, from isolating cellular components to inducing cell fusion. These diverse applications underscore the fundamental importance of osmotic balance. It's time for some challenging questions. First, explain how the concept of water potential, represented as psi is equal to psi s plus psi p, helps us understand water movement during osmosis. Next, compare and contrast the fate of an animal cell and a plant cell when both are placed in a hypertonic solution, detailing the structural reasons for their different responses. Then, describe plasmolysis in plant cells and discuss its ecological significance. Why is turgor pressure considered absolutely vital for the survival and growth of herbaceous plants? Imagine a physician mistakenly administers pure distilled water intravenously to a patient, predict the immediate effect on the patient's red blood cells and explain why. List and explain at least 3 factors that can influence the rate of osmosis. Finally, how is the principle of osmosis applied in food preservation techniques like salting? Good luck! Welcome to the pinnacle of our journey. In this hardest level, we'll delve into the historical context, biophysical mechanisms, and advanced applications of osmotic phenomena, exploring competitive insights and clinical relevance. Our understanding of osmosis evolved over centuries, from Knowlett's early observations to Van T. Hoff's thermodynamic models linking osmotic pressure to solute concentration. Modern science integrates this with the concept of water potential, which combines solute and pressure potentials to describe water's energy state. A monumental leap came with the discovery of aquaporins by Peter Agrey. These specialized protein channels in cell membranes act as efficient water conduits, allowing rapid, selective, and regulated water passage. While water can slowly diffuse across the lipid bilayer, aquaporins dramatically accelerate this process, highlighting that cellular water transport is not just simple diffusion but a highly controlled, facilitated mechanism, crucial for maintaining cellular homeostasis. Beyond simple diffusion, the precise mechanism of water movement is complex. Aquaporins are integral membrane proteins that form hydrophilic pores, allowing water molecules to pass quickly and selectively, without permitting solute leakage. Their activity is often regulated, enabling cells to rapidly adjust their water permeability. Osmotic pressure, a colligative property dependent on the number of solute particles, represents the force required to prevent the inward movement of water across a semi-permeable membrane. In engineering, reverse osmosis, RO, utilizes this principle in reverse. By applying external pressure greater than the osmotic pressure, water is forced from a high solute, hypertonic, region to a low solute region, effectively purifying water. This technology is vital for desalinating seawater and producing clean drinking water globally, demonstrating a powerful application of osmotic principles. Osmoregulation is the art of maintaining water and salt balance, critical for all life. Unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium use energy-dependent contractile vacuoles to expel excess water from their hypertonic freshwater environments, preventing lysis. In multicellular organisms, the strategies vary widely. Freshwater fish are hypertonic to their surroundings, constantly gaining water and losing salts, leading to copious dilute urine production and active salt uptake. Saltwater fish face the opposite challenge, losing water and gaining salts, requiring them to drink seawater, excrete concentrated urine, and actively excrete salts via gills. Mammalian kidneys are sophisticated osmoregulatory organs, finely tuning water and salt excretion under hormonal control, notably ADH. Plants, too, exhibit diverse osmoregulatory adaptations, from root pressure in water absorption to specialized structures in desert plants to minimize water loss. These intricate mechanisms underscore the fundamental importance of osmotic balance for survival in diverse habitats. The clinical and pathophysiological implications of osmotic imbalances are profound. Edema, or tissue swelling, often results from disruptions in osmotic pressure, for instance, due to low blood protein levels, causing fluid to shift from blood vessels into interstitial spaces. Severe dehydration, leading to hypertonic extracellular fluid, causes cells to shrink and can be fatal. Imbalances in blood sodium, known as hyponatremia or hypernatremia, directly impact plasma osmolarity and brain cell function. Cystic fibrosis, a genetic disorder, affects chloride transport, indirectly disrupting water movement across membranes, leading to thick mucus. Beyond disease, Turgor pressure in plants is not just about rigidity, it's a driving force for cell expansion during growth. The concept of incipient plasmolysis, where turgor pressure is zero, is a key physiological state used to determine a plant cell's solute potential. These examples highlight the pervasive impact of osmotic principles across biology and medicine. Let's tackle the first set of advanced questions. First, elaborate on the historical development of our understanding of osmosis, mentioning key figures and their contributions. Second, how do aquaporins enhance the efficiency of water transport across cell membranes, and what is their significance in maintaining cellular water balance? Third, compare and contrast the osmoregulatory challenges and adaptations of a freshwater fish versus a saltwater fish. Fourth, explain the principle behind reverse osmosis, RO, technology and describe its primary application, also noting how it differs from natural osmosis. And fifth, describe the role of dialysis in treating kidney failure, specifically highlighting how osmotic principles are utilized. Take your time to construct comprehensive answers. Now for the remaining challenging questions. Sixth, discuss the pathophysiological consequences of severe dehydration on human cells, linking it to changes in extracellular fluid osmolarity. Seventh, what is incipient plasmolysis? Explain its significance in determining the solute potential of a plant cell. Eighth, how does turgor pressure contribute to plant growth and not just structural support? Ninth, consider a plant growing in saline soil. Explain the osmotic challenges faced by its root cells and how the plant might adapt. And finally, if a patient is suffering from severe brain swelling, how might a hypertonic intravenous solution be used therapeutically, and what is the underlying osmotic principle? These questions require deep thought and integration of concepts. You've successfully navigated the complex world of cellular osmosis. From basic definitions to advanced applications, you've gained a comprehensive understanding of how cells interact with their environment. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember that biology is full of wonders waiting to be discovered. For more such engaging content and to continue your learning journey, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing educational content. See you next time.